Hey everybody, it's Chris Campbell here, owner of Keyglee Atlanta. Guys, I'm sitting here in front of a beautiful house that we are underway of renovation, and I wanted to do a video today about the phases of a renovation project. Now, the phases all the way from pre-planning, when you're getting your plans and your architectural drawings together, to the final finishes of the house and getting it staged and photographed and clean. We're going to go through all of those in this video, so it'll be a little bit longer of a video than what we normally do, but stick around and tune in. I think it's going to be really informational and valuable.
Jimmy on a beat, boy.
Okay, so the very first phase that you have to think about is the pre-planning phase. This one's really simple, but it's something that you can also do while you're still in escrow before you even close on the property, as long as you're sure that title's clear and that you're not at risk, because this phase does cost a little bit of money. So this is when you get your architectural drawings, if you're getting permits and that's required, a site plan, a survey. Usually your survey company will also do your site plan, but you basically put all of your plans together so that you know exactly what is going to happen. You get your contractor's full scope of work. You can also do all of your selections. So I do a little selections document, and I'll put a link to a sample of one of those in the bio, where I put a little PDF document that shows every bathroom, every kitchen, every piece of tile, the hardwood floors, what kind of light fixtures we're going to use, what paint colors we're going to use inside and outside. I like to have all of that mapped out before we even start on the project. That way the contractor knows exactly what we're going to do, we know exactly what we're going to do, and my project manager can watch over the project, and it always turns out a lot closer to what I had envisioned. If I do these steps, the more time you spend in pre-planning in the beginning, the faster your job will go and the more efficiently you'll be able to move through the project. So with that, we'll move into the first actual phase, which is site prepping, excavation, and foundation. Come on. After the pre-planning phase that we talked about earlier, you go into the site prep, excavation, and foundation phase, right? So you're basically prepping the house to be built if it was new construction, but most of the time you're buying a rehab. So these line items will often be blank on your budget, but it's a good thing to just make sure, like, you know, this house, the foundation was really solid. So we didn't have to do any work to the actual foundation itself, but we did have water removal, which kind of counts in this phase. So we had about 4 feet of standing water in the basement when we bought this house. We did have to get the water out of the basement and make sure the sump pumps were operating correctly. And the other thing about this house is we have an addition in the rear. So that is a brand new foundation, and we did have to do excavation there. Excavation, just digging out the dirt, right? So we excavated the dirt, we dug out the dirt, made the area where we're going to build the foundation, and we used block foundation just like is original to the house, and we built the foundation. All of that we did while we were waiting on permits to get approved, so that we were making good use of our time while waiting. All right, so we're now here in the back of the house. This is the foundation that we added because all of this is an addition all the way to the rear. So we had to excavate this. We dug out all this dirt. We built this block foundation, and that allowed us to get to the next stage, which is framing. One thing that we also did, just to mention, while we were waiting on the permits, we also went ahead and built the rear deck. We haven't done the handrails yet, but that's coming soon. And we built the front porch. But we'll talk about that because we kind of did that while we were doing framing. Another great thing that you can get done while you're waiting on permits is landscaping demo. So this can really be done at any time throughout the project, but it's a great thing because, you know, you've got like old chain link fences like this, overgrown bushes like this, small trees or dead trees that you need to get removed. They can really be removed at any time, but you want to get those done at least before you get towards the end of the project when you're going to do your landscaping install, which we'll talk about later in the video. Okay, so one thing that we didn't talk about is demolition, right? Demo day, as made famous by Chip and Joanna Gaines. It's everybody's favorite day because you get to bring the sledgehammer out and you get to like bash through the cabinets and, you know, knock windows out and all that kind of stuff. But demolition is super important. You're obviously going to do demo before you do framing because you can't frame until you clear out all the old stuff that doesn't need to be there. Now, some of this can be as simple as trash haul away, where you're loading up all the trash and the garbage that's inside the house, especially a vacant house like this. this, it might be filled with stuff inside. So you're going to clean out all that stuff, put it into a dumpster or put it into a truck and haul it to the dump. The other thing that you're going to do is you're going to remove all the drywall that you're not keeping, knock down all the drywall. You're going to remove the walls that aren't staying because maybe you're moving stuff around. You might be ripping up the flooring and maybe the subflooring. You're probably taking out the bathrooms and the kitchens. Demo is a pretty big, important part of the process because it really like gives you a clean slate to start with so that you can go into the next phases, which is framing, roofing, sheathing, things like that, exterior siding. Okay, so after you have done the foundation, either repaired the foundation if it's a rehab or if it's new construction, or like in this condition, we built an addition, so we had to build foundation from scratch as new, then you're ready for the next phase. The next phase is framing. Framing is in and of itself its own phase. And as you can see, we did a lot of framing on this house, almost like a new construction. We probably framed about 80% of this house because there was so much rot in this house when we bought it. When you see all these bright, shiny new 2x4s. We framed this with 2x4s. It's what's called stick built. You can also do truss built where the roof structures come in like prefab trusses, but we just did stick built. It's what a lot of builders do. It's very common where you just cut the lumber down to size and you cut all of these are 2x12 for these ceiling joists. And then we've got this giant LVL structure that spans the ceiling. This allowed us to open up and vault the ceilings, giving us an open concept for a really majestic entrance. When you walk through this front door and you have like the living room here and a big kitchen there, and we push the dining room out to the rear, it really makes for a lovely open space. And even though this house is already 1,900 and something square feet, it's going to feel even bigger because we have this vaulted ceiling. So I always try to vault ceilings. If I can't vault, I'll put a tray in the ceiling, which means you just come in off the walls and just go up a little bit, and you can build a little recessed box in the ceiling where you can hang a chandelier or something. It also helps like a dining room feel a little bit bigger, and it helps your chandelier not hang down so low. One thing that I can tell you from this house is you'll be able to tell the difference between the old brown 2x4s that are original and the new looking 2x4s, which are like kind of yellowish white. When we walk around in some other rooms, you're really going to see how much of this house we actually did have to reframe. Okay, so I wanted to bring you into this room to talk about the framing. The old 2x4s versus the new 2x4s. Like I said, we had to reframe about 80% of this house, but in this room, we actually got to keep quite a bit. So here you see this is like a whitish yellow, like bright and clean and new, whereas this one is like old and brown. All of the ceiling, all of the ceiling joists and the roof structure we got to keep in this room. It was good. This whole wall and the sheathing on the outside of this wall was great. You can see that back in the day, they used to use like 1x6s. They didn't use the plywood sheathing in 4x8 sheets like we use today, but we have, a lot of this room we were able to keep. But as you can see in some of the other rooms, we had to do a ton of framing all over again, brand new. Like this room, for instance, which is a new addition, entirely new. Every bit of framing all the way up to the ceiling, and the roof is brand new. Now, what's cool, we'll get a cutaway of this, but I'll show you, you can actually see the old roof structure here and the old roof decking, but it's now inside of the new roof structure because we put a new roof over, like the old roof was like this, we put a new roof like that. So we have a bit of the old roof underneath the new roof. It's kind of cool looking. So there are a couple other things that you can do while you're in the framing phase of your construction project. So this house had to have all new exterior siding. And before you can do siding, you have to make sure your sheathing's all in good shape. As you can see around this house, all new sheathing as well. So once we framed the house, then we did sheathing. We wrapped the house in a plywood barrier. This is what the insulation goes against, and it's also what the siding goes against on the outside. So you sheathe the entire house, then you Tyvek wrap the entire house, then you put up your exterior siding, which most people are doing hardy board or cement board these days because it's super durable. It lasts a really long time. The other things that we did, we installed these beautiful Anderson windows. These are black on the outside, white on the inside, vinyl windows. They also have this really cool auto locking feature. So it's locked right now. I click this little button, I can open it, but when I close it, it's locked again. Super cool. These windows are amazing. They're really, really a nice high-end window. So one of the other things that you can do while you're in the framing process is the roof. We haven't done it on this house yet, but it should be happening in the next few days. And basically we already have the roof decked. That is part of the framing process. So the roof decking is the same sheathing boards that we talked about earlier, but just on the roof. And then they put the tar paper over that, and then the asphalt shingles go over that, and then you have a completed roof. Also soffits and fascia, that's all included in the framing process. So basically we have windows, we have it framed, we have a roof on, we have the sheathing, we have the exterior siding, and we have the interior all frame. That's a ton of work, all of which we got done before we even had permits approved. So once you're done with framing, you move on to the rough mechanicals, which is HVAC, plumbing, electric, right? So this is plumbing here, this red and blue for your hot line and your cold line. This is called PEX. It's my favorite type of water line distribution. This is PVC, pretty standard in the plumbing business. That's the other room. So I'm in a bathroom right now, but the other room over here is the laundry room. So that's a recessed dryer vent, which is really cool because the dryer vent is inside the wall, so it doesn't stick out, causing your dryer to have to stick out farther. This is going to be your washing machine box. But yeah, so you frame the house, and then you've got to put in all your rough plumbing. Make sure all the plumbing is roughed in to where it's going to go. Your rough HVAC, they'll put in all the duct work. They probably won't drop the actual condenser or the furnace. They'll come do that later just because it's a high theft item. And then your electricians will come run all the wire and put all your gang boxes in for light switches and all your electrical outlets. All of that is done before you ever put insulation in and before you ever put any drywall in. So if you guys got a lot of value out of this video, Faces of a Rehab Part 1, please like and subscribe so that we can create more content like this. We will have Faces of a Rehab Part 2 coming out very soon. Thank you guys very much. I hope your rehabs go amazingly well.